Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 40 of a year of change. Today we're going to continue on our discussion that we've been having about body image, and we'll continue this throughout the week. I'm going to try to stay a little more focused this time around. Yesterday I kind of went off the rails and just went a little bit everywhere. It's a large topic to try to cover in a short video, and we didn't even scratch the surface, but I'm just sort of... Well, yesterday we had talked about women's body image, my perception of it, anyway. And so today we're going to tackle the guys, and just sort of not go as long as we did yesterday, but because we've sort of covered the majority of the stuff, but just sort of focus on the same sort of problems that women have with their bodies that we have with ours. And there's sort of an underlying opinion that we don't really have those same issues. A lot of eating disorders, they affect men less. With women, it's about 1 in 100 or 150 that actually start developing an eating disorder. With us, it's more like 1 in 1,000. So they are few and far between. I mean, that's still a fairly large number in the grand scheme of things, but it does affect us a little bit less. We don't seem to have that same pressure or we don't react to the same pressure and in the same way that women do. But it's not to say that it's not there. In the past, probably, 10 years maybe, women have just started having plus-size models sort of come into the scene. But when it comes to men, and ladies, you'll hopefully agree with this, we don't have that same thing. We don't have that same aspect. And although it's still a struggle and people are still fighting to get more plus-size models in, we don't have that option. And can you think of any ad campaigns where there's a fat guy as the spokesperson? Can you think of one? They simply don't exist. Any male model goes through the same issue that women models have had for years, is that they're all toned and athletic and, in a word, attractive, because that's what people enjoy. And it's not that people are just shallow, and you don't have to get angry by saying, well, I'm a real person too, I'm attractive because I'm fat. It doesn't have to be that way. It's just a very simple fact that aesthetic of being athletic and toned and in shape, that's just what people find attractive, men and women. I mean, a lot of these magazines that have these male models, women will still enjoy the pictures. Men will still enjoy the pictures because we strive to look like that. And it's sort of shifted a little bit over the past few decades. I mean, back in the 80s, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, people like that people thought that's what a real man should look like. And that sort of shifted now, and people don't want to be He-Man anymore. They want to be Brad Pitt in Fight Club. They want to be... I'm trying to think of someone else with that same body shape. Zac Efron in Neighbors. There you go. That toned and athletic and healthy aesthetic that people seem to strive for, that they really want to have. And that's okay for people to want to strive for that. With guys, though, I find with women is that, to me anyway, it seems that the pressure isn't so much, if you don't look this way, then you're worthless, although that is a big part of it. But it seems to be that no matter what they look like, they're still going to find fault with them. People still criticize... I've gone with the male celebrities, so I'll go with some female celebrities. People have still criticized like Halle Berry or Jennifer Lawrence, or people that you would look at and say like they epitomize beauty, but people still find fault with them. With men, I don't feel that we have that same attitude. People can still look at us and say, no, you're not good enough. But women seem to be very forgiving when it comes to men, in that if a man's attractive, he doesn't have to be perfect. Women still have that idea of a perfect man. And other men, I should include everybody. People have an idea of a perfect man, but for some reason, it doesn't seem to be as harsh as women are towards themselves. And just like women, our worst detractors are ourselves. it's a lot of these images that are out there, they aren't out there to appeal to women to purchase these products or to have them strive for that same look. It's aimed towards us. And just like women will attack other women, whether they're too fat or too thin, or their breasts are too big, or their breasts are too small, or whatever it is, the majority of our attackers come from other men, that we aren't tall enough, or we don't have enough hair, or we're too fat, or we're too thin. Things like that. We're our own worst enemy. We seem to be the ones that will attack other people. And again, it's just like women, it's sort of a, I don't know if it's human nature that tendency comes out because it makes the attacker feel better about themselves for whatever reason. They were yelled at in the morning and they decide to take it out on someone in the afternoon. But that mentality of you're not quite good enough does come across with men as well. Although I find with ours, I think it's not so much a self-improvement thing as it is a matter of I should look like this because that's what a real man looks like. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing that, real men have curves. That's because that's stupid. That we don't have it that bad. We don't have that, I don't know, that aspect of it that women do, that where they'll say, I mentioned yesterday, and I got the name right, Mindy Kang, the mother who had 3 kids and had said, "What's your excuse?" If there was a male version of that ad, it wasn't an ad, it was a posting. If there was a male version of it, I don't think there would be the same hateful reaction that there was. We tend to accept that we aren't how we want to be, and so we go after that. Women do the same thing, but there seems to be an underlying, personality flaw that goes along with it. Not that they're flawed personally. It just means that with men, they say, this is how you should look. Otherwise, you're fat and lazy and you're not a man. But with women, it seems to be, this is how you should look. Otherwise, you're fat and lazy and you're a horrible person. We don't seem to have that aspect of it. So we're free of that part. There's a lot of the sort of the stigma that goes towards women that we don't have to deal with. And a lot of our stuff is really internal and it's sort of aimed at ourselves. So we do have it a little bit easier, but those image issues are still there. And not that I want to start a campaign to start having fat guys be models. Aside from going to a specialty store, you're never going to see it. But just to put it out there that it isn't strictly a women-only problem, that men have that as well. And although sort of tastes have changed and people are aiming towards a different body type, which oddly enough is actually more attainable, we still have those problems. So just like yesterday, and I'm going to try to keep this one really short because I went a little too far and rambled on for half an hour, and I still can't talk for some reason. I don't want you taking away from this and saying, okay, well, I'm going to get into shape and I'm going to get cut and go to the gym and start running every day and get down so that I look like a male model. That's not the goal of this. The goal of this is to change how we eat and how we view things, how we view food specifically, and to get to a point where we aren't embarrassed, we don't feel like we're just grotesque or not good enough to just be seen out in public. And I had said yesterday, I'm never probably going to get to a stage where I'm ever going to feel comfortable taking my shirt off at the beach. I'm just not that kind of person. And I've dealt with this far too long to even begin to go there. But as the year progresses, I want to get to a point where I don't have that same embarrassment while I'm fully dressed at work or going out with friends, where I can fit into a booth at a restaurant and not worry, am I going to get stuck? Just little things like that. But whatever your goals are throughout this, just keep in mind that there are some goals that you may want to reach. You might want to go for that same body that you've seen somewhere or that you've seen in a movie or a magazine or whatever it is. If that's your goal, then certainly go for your goal. But don't get to a point where if you can't reach that, or if you haven't reached it by a certain deadline, that you're a failure and going back to where we were. Because just like we had mentioned yesterday, there are there's a body type for everybody. There are people that are still overweight and that they're still attractive, and there are people that are underweight that are still attractive. When it gets to a point where it's unhealthy, that's where the concern lies. And as I had said before, I don't find that there's going to be a lot of us that sort of get to that point where it's that all-encompassing downtrodden feeling. Because, as I said, women seem to be a lot more forgiving than men. In that, when it comes to just basic attractiveness, women will lean more towards a personality than men will. We say men are, all right, let's clarify this because I'm going to start rambling. Let's just sort of put out a generalization for everyone that everyone is shallow at some level. I think we can all agree to that. And for those of you that are saying, I'm not shallow, yes, you are. If you weren't shallow, then you wouldn't be able to look at a celebrity and say, that person's attractive, or this person is not attractive. Everyone is shallow at some level. So we'll lay that out there. Because as soon as you start saying, no, I'm not shallow, and it's just their personality, bullshit. If people weren't shallow, there wouldn't be love at first sight. Because there's no way that you can know about someone just by looking at them. It's an immediate attraction. And you aren't going to know about anybody anyway, what their personality is like, unless there's that physical attraction to begin with. So, we'll start with that. When it comes to actually getting to know someone, though, that aside from someone's personality, going into friendship mode, as it were, men and women are about the same. Women can make friends with men, men will make friends with women, that's not a problem. When it comes to just basic physical attractiveness, though, I find that women will be a little bit more forgiving. They won't mind someone who's a bit bigger, not huge, but a bit bigger. They'll still, I don't know, it's not a matter of giving them a chance. They'll still find that attractive if the person's personality comes through. Men, on the other hand, for some reason, and this is just from the multitude of people that I know, and that what I've seen from other people, it doesn't really matter what a woman's personality is like. A man will still have that, yeah, but no, I'm not going to do anything with you. I'm not going to date you or sleep with you or whatever it is, mainly because of that physical attraction. And so I don't know if that is sort of part and parcel of the women's body image, where aside from their own attackers, that there is that aspect that, well, I'm not perfect. There's always going to be someone else. And men don't really have that. That we'll have that perfect body type, and take your pick of a celebrity that you want to look at, that most men will agree, yeah, women find that very attractive. But even men that don't look that way, when you're in a relationship, a lot of them don't strive to reach that, because they understand, they say, well, no, the woman I'm with, or the other man I'm with, they understand that I'm not going to look like that, I don't look like that, it's fine if they still find it attractive. We don't have that sort of underlying fear of, probably because, it's justified, that it seems that women have that, well, if I don't look this way, then I'm not good enough, or worse yet, they're going to leave me. And it has been shown that in partnerships where one person starts losing a lot of weight, it does cause a lot of stress, because the other person assumes that they're looking better, they're going to go out and they're going to either cheat on them or leave them altogether. That's a topic for another video. So there are a number of different things that I'm not even sure if I'm expressing this correctly. The overall pressures that I think that women experience with body image, whether it's from external sources or from internal sources, they hold a little bit more gravity than the ones that men have. Men can tend to look at someone and say, oh, I wish I looked like that. But I won't. I don't look like that. I probably never will. So I'll watch their movies and pretend that I'm them for 2 hours and watch them kick everybody's ass and do whatever they need to do. And I don't know if women do the same thing. I suspect that it's, and ladies, if I'm wrong, please let me know, that when you look at someone and you think, man, I really wish I looked like her, but I'm never going to. So everyone hates me. I'm a piece of shit. And I don't think that men have that same stigma, mainly because it hasn't been focused on us for that long. I mean, women have had the Barbie doll, we've had He-Man, but I don't think it ever was to a point where you need to look like He-Man, otherwise you don't look attractive. So we do have it easier that way around, or in that aspect. But not to take away from those of you out there that do have an eating disorder, or that do feel that pressure. Because 1 in 1,000 is, although it's much, much lower than women, is still a substantial number. So there are a number of you out there that, are striving for this, or that maybe are anorexic or bulimic. And I can tell, even just by saying it, that there's, again, sort of an attitude going, men aren't anorexic, men aren't bulimic, that's ridiculous. It does happen. They are out there. And the problem is that these are generally seen to be women issues that when a man says that they have them, they're met with ridicule. They can't get the help that they need. And there is that same issue, obviously, with women as well, that with eating disorders and things like that, just like being overweight, that people say, well, then just stop. And they don't understand that it's not a simple matter of saying, oh, well, it's a nasty habit, so I'll just stop. Anyway, again, starting to go off the rails. I need to stay focused on this. It's just that it is a huge topic that sort of branches off into a bunch of different areas that I feel the need to address, but I'm not staying on target, so I tend to be going this way and that way and this way and that way. So, let's summarize. So, in general, the male body image that we have today is no longer the Incredible Hulk. That's not what people strive to look for. They're more along the lines of, yes, being athletic and being healthy and having that attractive body, but it's more lean, I guess. You're looking at, the athletic body more than a bodybuilder. So, but although that is something that everyone sort of strives for, myself included, I mean, I'm never going to be at that stage, but I want to be to a point where I don't look like a ball. And I think that's a reasonable goal to reach. But we still have that aspect where it is a poor body image that we have of ourselves. And just like women, in some cases, it is justified. No one should have, an idea of saying, yes, being 400 or 500 pounds is acceptable. It's not. It's unhealthy. It's, aside from being unattractive, it's dangerous. We create more problems even with our healthcare system. A lot of money goes into that, just trying to prevent stuff that we can prevent ourselves. So it's not a matter of saying, no, people should accept fat guys. It's just a matter of saying that image is there, but in some cases, it's justified. And it shouldn't be something that is hated, and it shouldn't be something that we attack because someone is trying to say this is an aesthetic that people find pleasing, because it's true. And it's one that we do strive for. Not all of us, obviously. Throughout this next year, that's my main goal, is to get to a point where, not that I'm going to be cut, but that I'm going to be presentable. And I think that's a good way to put it. Just so I can be presentable, so that if I'm sitting in a restaurant eating something, other people won't stare and not be able to finish their meal. So there's a nice little body image thing for internally. I mean, I've said it before, I know what I look like. A lot of us, we know what we look like. And there's a difference between looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I know exactly how much I weigh, I know how much percentage, what the percentage is of fat, and I know that I wouldn't want to sleep with me. So there's a difference between that and looking at yourself and saying, I still need to lose 2 pounds here, or look, there's a pinch of fat that's coming off the side of my hand. I'm a huge fat pig. So that's what these videos are really about for this week. It isn't an unrealistic goal actually, no, let's try to put this another way. It isn't to say that we should accept how we look and how we feel, how unhealthy we are. No person should be 50% fat cells. It's not healthy. It's abnormal for our species, if you're looking at this in a purely scientific way. Although it is the majority, it's not healthy and it's not normal. So there's a difference between looking at it that way and saying, no, I obviously need to get rid of the fat cells. I need to get rid of the excess weight. I need to be healthier. I need to get back onto what, not necessarily even my ideal weight, but within a weight range that is healthy. There's a difference between looking at that and then looking at something and saying, I have to achieve that, or it makes me less of a person, or it makes me less of a man or less of a woman, or just a horrible human being in general. That's the body image thing that I think we need to avoid. Because I know that this week has sort of been opposite as to what I've been saying before, that no, we don't like how we look, and we shouldn't look how we look. We should not like how we look. And that at the very beginning of the week, when we were talking about fat shaming, or 2 or 3 days ago, when I said there should be some shame that we feel. And I still stand by that, because we've done this to ourselves. We're the ones that have eaten, cookies and bacon and cheese and all sorts of things that are horrible for us, and we haven't done anything to get rid of that excess energy and the excess calories. So yes, we should feel a little bit of shame, because it's our own fault that we're this way. But it shouldn't get to a point where we hate ourselves for it. Because, like I said yesterday, you are doing something different. And whether you're doing this just to lose weight, or whether you're doing this to get into shape, whatever your reason is, you started making a change. We're 40 days in. So, that is an accomplishment. So you should be able to at least take that away from this conversation, I hope. But just like yesterday, if you have any other comments, if you disagree with me, if you think that the pressure is more or the pressure is less, let me know. Talk about it in the comments. Go up to our group on MyFitnessPal and talk about it there. Start a dialogue, because if we're going to build this community and have the support group, we need to be able to be open and honest with each other, and to be able to say, no, I think you're wrong and here's why. Not to start a fight, and not to say, especially an internet fight where people just yell back and forth and then start comparing people to Nazis, but an actual discussion, a dialogue, a debate, saying, here's why I think you're wrong, here's evidence to that, here's why I think you're right, here's evidence to that. And creating a place that people can go and talk openly and express their ideas and express their opinions and say, here's what I find I've gone through. If there are guys out there that are anorexic or bulimic, that you've dealt with it, or you're dealing with it now, or you're just getting to that stage where you're thinking, do I have an issue? Talk about it with us. Mention it in the comments. And I'm sure that there is going to be that sense of trepidation that you think, I'm going to get ridiculed because this is the problem that teenage girls have. And it's not. It goes through every age group. And I'm sort of repeating what I said yesterday, but I just want to reinforce it. That's what I want for this community, is someplace that people can go and not get ridiculed by their peers. They're going to be able to talk about stuff that others are going to understand. We're always going to have our detractors. We're always going to have the people who ridicule us. We're always going to have the trolls that are going to come in and just take digs at us. We're used to that. We understand that's sort of part and parcel. But those people aren't part of our community. They're the outliers that have nothing better to do. That, just like in public, their mother has yelled at them that morning, or their husband has, treated them like shit. So they come in and they need to attack someone to give themselves that sense of power. Let them have it, because we're here for each other, and those are going to be very few and far between, and they aren't going to last long. I'm going to try to do my best to call it out as well as things go on. But again, getting away from the topic. And I'm sorry, I keep doing that. But I think, especially with this week, where we're sort of focusing on body image in general, just being able to reiterate that support, I think, is going to be very important. Because when it comes to body image, more than, even the public ridicule or sitting in your house and eating a bag of cookies by yourself and feeling ashamed, that's a very public thing. It's something that we carry with us all the time. It doesn't matter if you're talking with your friends, you're hanging out with your date, or going to work, it's always there. There's always some aspect of you that is very much aware of what you look like and what you feel like. And ideally, we want to get to a place where we are healthy and, again, within a weight range that is not ideal, but healthy, and that we're okay with it. That we can look at ourselves and say, you know what? Yeah, I still have a few extra pounds on me, but I can work on that. I'm okay with still working on things, not having that self-loathing that men and women have that seems to permeate every day of our lives. So, and I feel like I've missed a point that I started off on a topic a little while ago and then I've deviated because I gave one example and not the other. Can't remember what it was, so I'm going to leave it there. But tomorrow we're going to sort of finish everything off, and I'm going to focus a little bit more on, we've done women and men. That sounded sexier than I thought. We've done women, we've done men. So tomorrow we're going to sort of touch on childhood obesity and how it affects kids. Because as adults, we can handle the ridicule, we can handle the taunts, we can handle the snarky comments. We have handled it for years. And for the vast majority of us, although it can lead to eating disorders and things like that, those insecurities get cemented when we're kids. And we're doing the same thing to the next generation of people. We're putting them on a path where we know they're going to have to deal with everything that we've dealt with. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. And then we'll have a day where it's a little bit easier going, a little bit more uplifting, and not quite as heavy, because these are rough topics, and condensing them into a week I'm never going to be able to touch on every subject that we need to. We're never going to address even 1% of the issues that we need to. But I feel that it's important, and if we're going to do it, then we should do it all and just go right through the entire week. So I do apologize again for this being a very depressing week, but we'll finish things off, and I'll lighten the mood. Probably at the end of the week, we'll give you another story, a nice embarrassing story, one that's funny. Something that, or maybe not, depending on which one I'm thinking of. Because it does help. It sort of opens up for that sharing, and I'm hoping anyway, gives you a bit of a laugh, which at the end of this week, we are desperately going to need. So for right now, I'm going to leave this video here. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. In the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.